Situation.
Hello, welcome to another video by me. Yeah, Intuition, that's a fancy little jingle at the start, innit? Lovely. Alright, so today in this video we're going to be doing equations again. We're going to rearrange the subject of an equation. So that is basically, if we have an equation such as x equals y minus 5. There we go, simple enough equation. Can't solve it because there's two unknowns and there's only one equation. So what we could do if we wanted to, like if we just felt like it, we could rearrange this. We could kind of mix it all up, and we could move the 5 around. You might, if you watched the last video, you'll remember that I said you can move terms around from one side of the equal sign to the other. We could put that minus 5 there next to the x, but the minus would change to a plus. We could move the y over there and it would be a minus y, or we could move the x over there and there'd be nothing left on this side and it would be 0 equals, and the x would be over there, but it would be minus. Yeah, so the subject of an equation, or the subject of a formula, is the thing at the start, this that's by itself. So the subject of this equation is x, because it says x equals all this stuff. There we go. There's the subject of the equation, x. If it said 2x, then x is no longer the subject of the equation, because that's not x, that's 2x. Yeah? Wonderful. Yeah. Alright, so, yeah, to change the subject of the equation, let's say if we wanted to change the subject of this equation to make y the subject of the equation, then it would have to start off as y equals, and then it would be something on this side, probably with an x in it, and maybe even possibly with a 5 in it in this case. Alright, so that's what we want to do. We want to change the subject of the equation, and we want to make it so that y is the subject of the equation. So to do that, we need to get rid of everything else that's on the same side of this equal sign as y. Well, the only thing on the other side of this equal sign with y is the minus 5. We need to get rid of that. So to get rid of minus 5, we just add 5. What do you think about that? Alright, so we're going to add 5 to both sides. X plus 5 is just x plus 5. It's not 5x, it's not x to the power of 5, it's just x, add 5, x plus 5. Y minus 5 plus 5, what would that be? Well, we added 5 to get rid of the minus 5, and it does the job. It got rid of the minus 5, it's just y. Y minus 5 plus 5 is just y. And there we go, y is the subject of the equation. We should really swap it around and make it y equals x plus 5. Literally exactly the same thing there, just x plus 5 equals y, y equals x plus 5. But yeah, if it's the subject of the equation, it should really go at the start. Yeah, simple enough, hopefully. Hope that made sense. Back away. There we go. Alright, let's do another. Let's say if x equals 3y plus 6. Alright, so if we want to rearrange this equation to make y the subject of the equation, so we know it's going to say y equals something. So in order to do this, we need to do basically the same as what we did before. Get rid of everything that's on this side except for the y. Alright, so, well, we've got 3y plus 6 this time, so we want to get rid of the 3 as well. Last time we just had a number here, the 5, and we just got rid of that, but now we've got a number here as well, 3. First of all, let's get rid of the plus 6. We could get rid of the 3, but it would be slightly more complicated. You'll see why in a minute. Alright, so let's get rid of the 6 first, because I said so. Alright, so minus 6, that's the opposite of plus 6. Alright, so we've got x minus 6 equals 3y. X take away 6, x minus 6. 3y plus 6 minus 6 is just 3y. And now we need to get rid of this 3. This is 3 times y. Opposite of times by 3 is to divide by 3. By 3. Alright, so 3y divided by 3 is just y. And the other side, x minus 6 divided by 3, well, we could do x divided by 3, and we could do minus 6 divided by 3, and that I suppose would be fine, but it's a bit long-winded. It's a bit of an easier way to do that is to just put x minus 6 over 3 as one big fraction. There we go. Y equals x minus 6 over 3. Let's put y at the start. Y equals x minus 6 over 3. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah. And go, 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 go. Alright, let's do another. Let's make a more complicated one. 4a minus 2b equals 3c plus 7. There we are. Alright, let's have a go at making a and then b and then c the subject of this equation. That'll be fun. Alright, so to make a the subject of the equation, we need to get rid of everything else that's on this side of the equal sign with the a. So let's start with the minus 2b. We could get rid of the 4 first. We could divide by 4 on both sides, and that would be fine, except you've got to bear in mind when you divide or times by something, when you times or divide everything by something, you have to times or divide each term. All of 4a divided by 4, minus 2b divided by 4, 3c and plus 7 would all have to get individually divided by 4. And if we did that little shortcut that we did before, which is absolutely fine to do, where we just did like the whole thing as a fraction and put the number on the bottom, we could do that here and just do like the whole thing divided by 4, but that doesn't get rid of the 4. We've still got this 4 here. That's just kind of added stuff to this side. We want to get rid of everything on this side to make a the subject of the equation. If we divide the whole side by 4 and just shove it as one big fraction, then that's putting extra stuff there. We would divide by 4 to get rid of that 4, and that's fine to do. In fact, I'll show you. So let's divide by 4. If we were going to divide by 4 first, we can't just put it as a fraction. We could for that side, I suppose, but we maybe have to simplify it later. So if we were to divide by 4, 4a divided by 4 would just be a, and then we're going to do minus 2b divided by 4. A quarter of minus 2b is minus half of b, minus b over 2. And then that would equal the rest of it, 3c plus 7 all over 4. And then after doing that, we could add this to both sides, b over 2. So we're taking away b over 2, so we could do plus b over 2 and plus b over 2 to that side, and then that gets rid of this. You just got a by itself. Yeah, wonderful. Here's the subject of the equation. And then we're going to add this onto this side, which would literally just be that plus b over 2. Let's write that out. 3c plus 7 over 4 plus b over 2. There, and job's a good one. Alright, so we could do that, but then we've got two fractions here, which we could go on to simplify this a bit. We could put it as, we could do common denominators and say 2b over 4, and then add that with this. So we'd have 3c plus 7 plus 2b all over 4. And then that, it feels like a bit of an extra step. That feels like a little bit long-winded. So let's go back to the start and see what happens if we sort out the 2b first. So we're not going to divide by 4 first. We'll plus the 2b on first and get rid of that straight away. So if we added 2b on at the start, we would just have 4a here. So 4a minus 2b plus 2b, 4a. And on this side we've got 3c, 2b, and 7. Let's tidy that up a little bit. We'll put it in alphabetical order. 2b plus 3c, c3, 3c, plus 7. That looks like an X. There we are. Yeah, so we could have the 2b on first, and then divide by 4. And you might have noticed what's going to happen. This, from dividing by 4, from adding the 2b on first, and then dividing by 4, it already puts it as one fraction. 2b plus 3c plus 7, all over 4. In that step there was no common denominators to find, and then adding the fractions together or anything like that, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. We're going to do that a few times anyway. So if it didn't make sense, it's alright. I was going to do it again. But if it did make sense, then stick around anyway. I don't know why. Maybe because I'll say something really funny in this video and you'll miss it. You don't want to miss it. Alright, so yeah, so that's making A the subject of the equation. So to do that, add the 2b onto both sides. Generally, if you're making something the subject of the equation and there's more than one term on that side, you want to get rid of the other terms first. These terms, 4a minus 2b, 3c, and plus 7. Those are terms. And you want the term with a in it, the thing that you're making the subject of the equation, to be on one side on its own, and then you can sort that term out and make it just a without the 4. So generally, first of all, you want to get rid of the minus 2b, because that whole term on its own, it can just move over to the other side straight away. Okay? Next, let's make b the subject of the equation. There's a couple of ways we could do this. We could move it to the other side to make it positive and move everything else back up to the other side, but we'll do that later. Alright, so first of all, we've got these terms, 4a, minus 2b, 3c, and 7. Let's get minus 2b by itself over this side. So we need to take away the 4a, get rid of 4a. We want to take that away from both sides. Alright, so taking it away from the left hand side, we've got 4a there, minus 4a there. They cancel out, they're gone, that's why we did it. We're left with minus 2b. Don't forget the minus sign. That minus sign, plus and minus signs stick with the term next to them, in front of them. So a minus sign goes with the term directly to its right. That's not a minus 4a, that's a positive 4a, as is noted by the lack of a sign here. So yeah, this negative sign is telling us that 2b is minus, 2b is negative. Alright, so we've got rid of the 4a, so we've still got the minus sign, minus 2b equals this side minus 4a, 3c plus 7 minus 4a. Alright, and now minus 2. How do we get rid of minus 2? So we've got minus 2b. We could divide by minus 2, and that would change this. Minus 2b divided by minus 2 would just be b by itself. So even if your coefficient of your letter is negative, you can still divide by that coefficient, even if it's a negative number, and it will give you the variable on its own, the unknown by itself. Okay, so we divide by minus 2 to get rid of this minus 2. So we've got b times minus 2. This is still multiplied. Even though there's a takeaway sign, it's still being multiplied. We've got minus 2 times b. So to get rid of the minus 2, we need to divide by minus 2. Yeah? I know the opposite of minus is a plus, but it's minus 2 times, and the opposite of times is divide. Okay, so we divide by minus 2 on that side, divide by minus 2 on this side, by minus 2, there we go, and then we're left with b on its own. Minus 2b divided by minus 2 is just b. And then, so this side divided by minus 2, well, we could have 3c plus 7 minus 4a all over minus 2. That works, because then the subject of our equation is b, that's the target. But we can simplify this just the smallest little bit. This is being really picky, but I don't like having negative numbers in the denominator of a fraction, because it just confuses me. If I'm honest, it doesn't really. But you know, it doesn't look nice. Like, denominators aren't nice anyway, because they're like the number that's being divided into the top number. It's not even a proper part of the number. They're weird enough anyway to think about. So it just makes it even worse if it's a minus. So what we could do is swap every other sign. We can make that a minus, because it's positive now with 3c. We can make that a minus instead of a plus 7, and we could make that a plus, and then that gets rid of the negative on the bottom. So yeah, that works for any fraction. Say if you had 3 over minus 4, that's the same as minus 3 over 4. Yeah? Yeah? Cool. Alright, so let's do that. We'll get rid of that, and we'll put in what it should be. Also, I like to start with a positive term, just to reduce the number of symbols. So we'll put 4a, positive 4a, take away 3c, keeps it alphabetical order then as well. Why does 3c look like an X? 3c still looks like an X, even though that's clearly a 3. Minus 7, because it's plus 7, so we want to take away. And then we can put it over a positive 2. So even though we divided by minus 2, it's positive 2 now, because we made those signs the opposites. Minus 4a, positive 4a. Positive 3c, minus 3c. Plus 7, minus 7. Yeah, cool. And then b is the subject of the equation. Yes! Alright. Cool, excellent. Alright, what's next? Making c the subject. Difficult. It's not really, it's probably easier. It's probably the easiest out of all of them. Alright, so let's move the 7 to the other side. It's plus 7. How do we get rid of that? Take it away! Alright, so we've got 3c. Let's put 3c on the left hand side, thinking ahead. Equals, and then this side take away 7. 4a minus, it's minus 2b. Minus 2b minus 7. There we go. So we took away 7 from both sides. 3c plus 7, take away 7 is just 3c. 4a minus 2b, take away 7 is 4a minus 2b, take away 7. Alright, so now we've got 3c, but we just want c. We want 1c. What's the opposite of times them by 3? Alright, so we just got c by itself. 3c divided by 3c. 3c divided by 3c. That's weird. Alright, and 4a minus 2b minus 7 over 3 divided by 3. Yeah. Too many minus signs. Voila. C is the subject of the equation. Nice. Excellent. Alright, these get more complicated. So let's do another one of a similar level. And then hopefully it won't be too bad. Alright, let's try this one. This is a weird one. Let's say 4x plus 2 squared. I'm going to get rid of that and do it properly. There we go. 4x plus 2 squared equals 2y. Alright, let's say if we wanted to make y the subject of this equation. It wouldn't be x. It will be x after this. Alright, but let's say if we wanted to make y the subject of the equation, we could literally just put over 2. Why isn't it writing? What? What? No! There we go. Over 2. And then y is the subject of the equation. Because it's 2y, opposite times by 2 is divided by 2. Just put the whole thing over 2. Job's a good one. But how do we make x the subject of this equation? Well, in this is really weird. This whole thing's being squared. This whole term is being squared. We want it to not be squared. What's the opposite of squaring? Bonus points if you know this. Shout it out. Go on, shout it out. No? Not know it? Square root. Unlucky. Alright, so the opposite of square is square root. That's weird because it looks like something's there and it's being squared. Even though it really is just a 2. Alright, so the opposite of squaring a number is to square root a number. So to square a number is times it by itself. For example, 3 squared is 9 because 3 3s are 9. The square root of 9 is 3 because 3 3s are 9. Alright, so the opposite of squaring is square root. So we're going to square root both sides. Yeah? Okay. So, square root of this side, well, it just gets rid of the squared. So we've just got 4x plus 2. If you want, you can keep the brackets, but there's no point, so we're not gonna. Equals the square root of 2y. Literally just square root 2y. Like that. I'm not going to try and work it out, because root 2 would literally take you forever to work out. If you want to work out all of it. Literally forever. Forever. Alright, so 4x plus 2 equals the square root of 2y. Now, we've got two terms here, the 4x and the plus 2. We just want the 4x, so we need to get rid of plus 2. How do we get rid of plus 2? What's the opposite of plus 2? Minus 2. Minus 2. So we've got 4x equals, plus 2 is gone because we did minus 2. 2y, well, root 2y minus 2. Root 2y minus 2. Next, get rid of the 4. What's opposite times by 4? Quarter it. Divide by 4. So we've got x equals, we're going to divide this side by 4 as well. The whole thing divided by 4, remember. So we've got root 2y minus 2 all over 4. Yes! That's class. Yeah, sweet, sorted. That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, and that is pretty much it. You could make these ridiculously complicated if you wanted to. I recommend you don't, because what's the point of that? But yeah, if you understood that, well done. That's really good. We'll do a couple more examples, and I'll keep explaining it in kind of slightly different ways, and hopefully it'll make more and more sense. But as I said in the last video, if you didn't watch it, go watch it and like and subscribe, yeah. But as I said in that video, just practice it over and over and over again. That's how you get good. Alright, we'll do one more. Let's do one more. Let's say if 4y minus 7a squared equals 3x plus 2. Alright, we're going to make a the subject of this equation. So we need to get rid of everything else. We need to get rid of the squared. Opposite of squaring is to square root. Oh. And decided to just draw a little line by itself there. Square root both sides. So that gives us everything except for the squared. So we've got 4y minus 7a on this side. 4y minus 7a equals, and the square root of this side will just be one big square root symbol, 3x plus 2. There we go. Now we've square rooted that whole thing. So when you square root that side, you have to square root everything. A lot of it gets square rooted. Okay? The 3x and the plus 2, both in the same square root. That is not the same thing as square root of 3x plus the square root of 2. That's different to that. Okay, so don't write it like that. I mean, it could be the same, but that would be a massive coincidence. So yeah, write it like that, not like that. If you don't believe me, try it. X equals 0. Alright, so 4y minus 7a equals the square root of 3x plus 2. Remember, we're making a the subject of the equation. So we've got two terms on this side, the 4y and the minus 7a. We want this term, minus 7a, because it's got a in it, and that's the subject. That's what we want the subject. So let's get rid of this. 4y is being added on to a negative 7a. So we need to take that 4y away from our negative 7a. Because if you wanted to, you can imagine there's a little plus 4y, because it's a positive 4y. To get rid of 4y, you just literally take away 4y. Literally take away 4y. Minus 4y. Yeah? Alright, so those cancel out. And we're left with the minus 7a. Remember that minus. That's how maths works. Alright, so minus 7a equals all this minus 4y. So literally all this minus 4y. Literally. Alright, so we've got root 3x plus 2, which is all this, minus 4y. Notice that the minus 4y isn't under the square root, because that's not all this minus 4y. That's all this minus 4y with a longer square root. It's literally, like, proper meaning of the word literally, all this minus 4y. So you just copy that and put minus 4y after it as it is, and job's a good one. Alright, so that's minus 7a, but we just want a. That's minus 7 times a, remember. If a is being multiplied by minus 7, to get rid of the minus 7, we need to divide by minus 7. There we go. Good, easy, both sides. By minus 7. Alright, so now we're just going to have a equals. And remember, the denominator, I don't like it being negative. So I'm going to swap this round and change the signs to make that positive, and that's already positive because there's nothing in front of it, so I'm going to make that negative. So the 4y will be positive, so positive 4y, and a negative root 3x plus 2, negative root 3x plus 2. Alright, notice that that's still a plus. That's because all of this is one term. Okay, so this one term is becoming negative. Okay, even though it's got a plus, if we change that to a minus, not only is that making this term negative, but it's also changing what the term actually is. If we make that minus, then that's no longer the same as the negative of this. It's the negative of something different to this then. Okay, so to make this term negative, you just put a minus sign in front of it. Just the same way as when we made minus 4y positive, we didn't stick a negative in front of the y for no reason. Okay, that's one term and we changed it to positive. That's another term and we changed it to negative. The whole thing over, the reason we swapped those around is so we can put positive 7 instead of minus 7 on the bottom, because I prefer to have positive numbers on the bottom because we like that. Mint! And that'll do! Job's a good one! Right, hopefully you understood that. If you did, well done, hats off to you, because we absolutely flew through that. This is a lot of stuff that we're going to keep coming back to in future videos, because it's really important and it crops up a lot in a lot of topics. So yeah, if you didn't understand it, also messages, put it in comments or something, say like I probably didn't get that, and I'll explain it. You know what I mean? I'll just explain it by typing because I'm awesome at that. Yeah, and if you still don't get it, send us an email and I'll tutor you. Mint. Alright, have a good day.